sometimes base models deserve some attention. This is a 4-cylinder turbocharged SL43 AMG. And today, thanks to Bond Group, hi, I'm Tedward, we're going to drive this and see if it's any good, because I've read so many articles about SLs. People love them, they hate them, whether it's the style or the technology or the powertrains. This is probably the strangest one out there because it's got an M139, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo that makes 375 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque, all powering the rear wheels through a 9-speed AMG Speed Shift MCT transmission. But the car base price is around $100,000. This one optioned out. We're probably in the $115,000, $116,000 range. But now you could have this for quite a bit cheaper on Bring a Trailer because this is going up for auction. The question I have is it something you'd even want to live with? And I've spent some time with SLs. The 63 is ridiculously powerful, but honestly a little bit clumsy. So when I saw this, I thought maybe this is the answer. And I know that some of the articles have said they don't love the way this sounds or even the way it behaves, but this is actually more interesting than anyone's giving it credit for. So first, let's get through the things that I absolutely dislike about Mercedes-Benz in general. These door handles, oh, they gotta go. That's gotta end. We gotta stop this thing. But first, let's just get under the hood because we gotta give this some credit where it's due. The thing about this car is if I told you there was a German company who made a hybridized turbo that had an electric motor that pre-spooled the turbo so you'd never have to wait for boost and exhaust gases to turn that impeller, wouldn't you think of Porsche T-Hybrid? I certainly would. They have made their entire GTS branding and now turbo branding around this technology. Well, here we are with this AMG 4-cylinder, and turns out this has pretty much similar technology. Now, I don't know all the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts of this, so to say it's the same, I don't know that that's accurate, but what I can say is it does have that technology where it will electrically spool that turbo so you're always there waiting. The question is, how well does it work? On the Porsches, the GTS and the turbo, they use massive turbos, and they basically turn that 3.6 liter into like a 7-liter feeling thing. It feels naturally aspirated because you're never waiting. I'm curious how that's going to feel in this. But let's also appreciate the fact that it's a proper front engine car. It's a lighter powertrain than the V8s, the 4 liters. And also, it's a little different. We've seen that 4-liter twin turbo and everything. It's a phenomenal engine, but maybe we want to diversify a little bit. Maybe we want to feel something a little bit different. Style-wise, the R232, it's not exactly my cup of tea, but I get it. I see it. I just think that the coolest part about it is the return to form with the retractable soft top versus the retractable hard top. I think that's a nice thing that we can see because one of the things that we always loved about SLs was you'd have the soft top and then you'd have your separate hard top that you'd plop on there in the 80s and 90s. You know, that's a good thing. But then they went to retractable hardtops, made a lot of sense, but I think just wasn't quite the SL experience. So this does go back to the original SL experience with the retractable soft top. I like that. The shape of this is just very strange to me. I'm sure there's wind tunnel reasons for it, but it's very round. And again, maybe that's a return to form to the original 300 SL, which is an incredibly round car. So I think because I'm an 80s baby, I think of more squared off SLs, and the R129 in the 90s certainly does that trick. But this probably takes more notes from its oldest forefather. And gluing us to the road on a 19-inch wheel, up front is a 255 section tire, and in the rear, a 285 section tire. Now this car was obviously used. It's got about 17,000 miles on it. The owner certainly wasn't afraid to operate and use this car. There's, you know, a couple little dents and dings here and there, nothing crazy. The interior is in relatively good shape, but I will show you just the things that can happen on these seats if you put something in the back. Now, what's wild about this car is it has rear seats. It's generous to call that a seat because with this all the way forward in that mode, I certainly could get in, but once the seat goes back, that's your leg room. And I think the lesson learned here is if your floor mat isn't as big as a shoe, well, it's not a seat. That's like the silliest thing in the world. It's more of a parcel shelf, and maybe that's some sort of insurance purpose, or maybe it's because the SL needs to have rear seats. I don't know. I actually have no idea why these exist. And the fact that the seat backs on this are just church pews. They are vertical. I just can't. You know what? Let's sit in here. I need to know. I need to sit here. This is the worst seat I've ever sat in my entire career of doing this. This is not, you could not. No, absolutely not. This is terrible. So yeah, you're never going to put anyone in the back. I think even if you tried to do the little, oh, we're only going down the street, whoever sat there would immediately say, I'll walk. In the back, not a ton of space back here, but I do love that that's all powered, so that you still get a little bit of the luxuries of an expensive car. Back here, yeah, very little cargo space. You're going to want soft bags if you're going anywhere. And actually, my favorite thing on this is the sort of emergency. If you were to somehow get a human being stuck in there, they can hit that button to evacuate. I'm sure there's got to be. Maybe, oh no, is there not another release? There has to be some sort of manual release. I'm sure you'd never find it, and that would just be you meeting your fate. Okay, the exhaust is fantastic. I love the big quad tips with the AMG logos on there. And like any great Mercedes convertible as of late, you get the neck scarf, so you can actually see the fans right there. It'll blow hot air on you, which I really dig. You can use this button right here. So you've got your heated seats, your ventilated seats, your neck scarf. That's so convenient because it means you can drive top down more often in comfort and luxury. So let's jump in and take this thing for a drive. I'm really curious to see if the baby SL is good. Is it fun? Does it earn an AMG name? And should it earn any of your respect and attention? So it has put the seat all the way back for me right now. Yeah, the startup sound isn't particularly six-figure car-ish, but we're not going to judge it off of that. I do want to show you this roof operation, so let's put the roof up and then down. This is where Mercedes starts to fall apart for me a little bit. I would prefer this to just be a button and not this swipe situation, but we swipe over and then those guys pop up. And I'll show you what this looks like from the outside, just so you know when you're driving it in the rain what you look like. But something you will notice is the girth of this windshield up here. I mean, this is definitely designed for you to roll it off a cliff and hopefully survive the fall. And listen to this from the back. Still a bit of a menacing rumble. Doesn't sound like the 2-liter in my Honda, but a 2-liter 4-cylinder nonetheless. These door handles will never satisfy me. Return to form, guys. Please, Mercedes-Benz, get rid of those door handles. That's insane. With a big unlatched sound that comes back down. I really like these little guys that fold away though. They're cool. Our screen can tilt, so you can change the angle. Very interesting. Transmission on the stock. Go into comfort. Really smooth transmission. This 9-speed is pretty special. It can do some awkward, clunky things here and there, especially when you're coming to a dead stop. But honestly, that's heritage, because even in the old Mercedes SLs, those gearboxes would really push against you. Everyone can remember putting one of those in reverse and feeling the big clunk. This doesn't do a big clunk, but sometimes you will feel a little bit of that resistance on the pedal. C30 in a cool color. Oh, nice and soft suspension over the bumps. My first time ever seeing a semi-truck on this street. That's crazy. But this transmission matches this powertrain so well. It's smooth, it's glassy, it feels like it's all just ceramic. It's not a buzzy little four-cylinder when you get the revs up. It actually feels potent. And I've read so many people saying this isn't enough power, but like this is pretty quick. This is fun. It's not gonna be the staggering 8-cylinder, but my goodness, this is great. Something that I don't have on this car is I don't have a nose lift, but I have enough room. Yeah, that's fine. We're good. Something that frustrated me when I drove the 63 was getting to the nose lift. And then the nose lift didn't work on that car that I had as a press car in California. So honestly, better off, I suppose. Can actually feel the rear end kind of struggling for grip. It has enough torque where it wants to spin up these 285s. Blown away by how low I can get in this seat. There are some things that this car gets completely right and some things that I'm just so baffled by. The steering wheel in these Mercedes, I do not understand how this is seen as a premium thing. There's very unpleasant. Look, I accidentally just touched that and now that's moving. Very unpleasant buttons, and you get not a ton of feedback on what's going on with those buttons. So that's just not for me. That's not for me. I like these selectors are fine. Those work great. Also, I think the steering wheel is a little too thick. It's fallen into that trap where it was competing with BMW, or maybe vice versa. I don't know who was first with like going extra thick on steering wheels. But for some reason in Germany, they got in a steering wheel thickness war, and apparently thick meant sporty. It's incorrect. A lot of wheel spin on the Devil's Daily. This relic of the past. Wow. All right, get the neck scarf going. It's gonna turn up these fans in my headrest, start blowing warm air on my neck. Well, you have the yield sign, but you're in a BMW, so we know you'll never do that. It does seem to have a little bit of trouble just putting that power down. getting in the juice. Maybe it's just because it's kind of an ordinary tire. We're not on anything too fancy, but the neck scarf is incredibly warm. Like, I actually have to knock that down a little bit. Oh, it definitely feels wrong to just shut a turbo engine down when it's hot. Somewhat invasive traction control system. It's doing its best, but you can see that it intervened, it held back, and then it allowed it to rip. And you can almost see why some of these car companies have gone all-wheel drive for everything, just because it feels like they're enabling themselves to give their consumers safe acceleration under almost any circumstances. Whereas I'm good, man. Like, let it spin up a little bit. Let this thing step out on me. Let it do its thing. I mean, yes, we could turn it all off, but it's not my place. This isn't a press car, so I can't just go and tear up someone else's tires. But it is interesting. See, that's where it's like a little clunky. It's maybe just because I'm in Sport Plus, so it's like eager. I gotta say, this is pretty fun. I know it's not as fast as the V8s, but I can use this. I can actually hit this red line to red line to red line a couple of times and have fun and not be going 150 miles an hour. Interesting move, buddy. Oh, I can't win today, dude. Oh, don't you just love top-down diesel truck? This thing would be a little drift mobile. It really does like to step the tail out under power. I mean, this is a tail-happy little monster. And like the front, it's so dialed, you know, and it's got a little bit of body roll. It's not so stiff that it's doing everything in its power to remain completely flat. So it actually is fun to drive and lean into a corner. That also means you can drive over real roads, normal roads with some bumps. Holy cow, this got rutted so bad. But this takes it perfectly. This is a great example of a powertrain that's delivering on the athletic front. And actually this chassis is really athletic too, but it doesn't quite make the sounds you expect from a premium vehicle. But it does all the things you expect from a premium vehicle. This is a confusing package. it's not confusing because it doesn't perform. It's confusing because a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder does not seem like the typical character of an SL. But it really works. I mean, I can feel the rear tires just gripping for dear life. The more I drive it, the more I like it. And I liked it the second I got in it. It's really athletic. It's distracting me from the things I despise about modern Mercedes-Benz, like these steering wheels and their infotainment and all the crazy stuff. But I could forgive the door handles because this is kind of plucky and fun, and it's smooth and it's well tuned, and this gearbox is just mwah, chef's kiss. Just mooed at me a little bit. Interesting noise. Hello, Ferrari 308. What is with the traffic, man? We're supposed to be in some rural spot. I'll admit, when this came into Bond Group and I saw it, I kind of poked fun at it. I thought, oh, a 4-cylinder turbo SL, what are we talking about? And genuinely, driving is believing in this car. I don't know where the prices stand on the aftermarket. I don't know that I'd want to pay $100,000+ for it. But the execution of this little 4-cylinder really works. And look, I know we've gone through the whole C63 debacle where they put a 4-cylinder turbo, a version of this M139 in that car, and that did not go over well. But that's because that was not the car it's supposed to be. If they make a C43 and put that engine in it, go for it, but not the C63. What's incredible, though, is the technology of this engine allows for up to 235 horsepower per liter. I mean, think about that. We're talking over 100 horsepower per cylinder. It's crazy what they're doing with this thing. And yeah, it doesn't make V8 sounds, but anyone who's pioneering the next generation of internal combustion is A-okay in my book. Even if it's Nissan with that VC turbo that's getting recalled all over the place. I mean, it's an attempt. And any attempt to avoid batteries and like hybridization in the traditional sense, I think is pretty darn rad for the future of car enthusiasts. So, is this my top choice? No. But it is a ton of fun. Yeah, it's not underpowered. It's slower than the fast one, but wouldn't it be? It still has plenty of torque. It's still struggling to put power down to those rear tires, which is fantastic. That's the feeling you want. You want to have more power than it knows what to do with, and this does. But I also don't need it to go 200 miles an hour. I don't need it to pull that hard past 120. I just need it to pull me, and it's doing that job. Suspension-wise, the traction. My gripe, though, is that the traction control is old school feeling. I mean, this should really be letting me go a little more than it is, but it's not. That's all right. Okay, back into a world of traffic, and that's where this also becomes kind of a chill little dude, because it's comfortable, has a wonderfully dynamic suspension, and it's easy to drive. Plus, I'm safe. I'm in a big old Mercedes. So anyway, as we're driving down this bizarro road, we'll end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking. Hit the like button. I hate asking, but that's what gets views, man. That's what makes this whole little ecosystem tick. So hit that like button. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, good color on these trucks.